Hi, this is Reo Wilde here at Archery Idaho again. I just wanted to go over some paper tuning and talk about how I do it. One of the big things I have learned over the years, Kurt Etheridge taught me a long time ago that you don't always need the perfect bullet hole. I know some people think that that's the best thing in the world. I don't mind it. It's not anything against it. I've had some bows that shot really well with it, some that have not. But honestly, my favorite way of tuning is paper tuning. I get that to get me started, and then I will play with my rest location a little bit to group tune. But one of the things I have learned is with my target bow and with a lizard tongue, it is most important to have a little bit of a knock high and a direction. Because if I tip an arrow a little slightly left and let it go, it's going to go that direction. If I put it up straight perfect, it can go a lot of different directions. So in that way, if we have a perfectly tuned bow that the arrow comes out perfect, it now is more susceptible to anything you do. Not that the bow's not shooting perfect, but you can be more of an effect on it if it's perfectly tuned. Where if I have a bow that has a little bit of a high left tear or just a little high tear and I let it go, it's got more of a forced direction that will cause that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go through and I'm going to shoot my target bow, well, my 3D bow, and my hunting bow and show you what kind of tears I've set up and explain to you why and what they are. Like I said, usually my lizard tongue or my 3D or target bow, I like a little high to clear better. With a hunting bow and a follow-away rest, a bullet hole's not as bad. It can be very workable and susceptible to good shooting. Like I said, it just will be sometimes more affected by what you do, which can be the real key in learning what a bow can do after it's paper tuned. And that's why I say paper tuning is not my end all be all, but it's a really, really good starting point to make sure your bow's set up to shoot well. What I do now is, like I said, I get close. I don't believe you have to be a long ways away. What you want to read is what the arrow's doing coming out of the bow. I hear people say they do it at long distances. They do it at other things. To me, when that happens, your vanes can start to correct any issues that you have. So it doesn't always tell you what your bow is truly doing. So I like it up close. I believe that you don't have to be very far away from the paper. I want to see what it's doing coming out very quickly so that I can figure out, because if it's coming out straight right out of the gate, your vanes don't have to work as hard. So that's kind of one of the things that I have learned. And my 3D bow, like I said, it's a little knock high. You can see it's just a little knock high, not really right or left, but just high, which gives me that clearance across my lizard tongue so that when I shoot, my vanes aren't hitting my rest. They're getting able to go through and come out cleaner so that I have a little better arrow flight. It just works out better without making contact on that lizard tongue. I will end up with a little better arrow. And like I said, I don't always love that perfect bullet hole. I like a little bit off so that I can have that. Maybe I can get away with a few little things. Now, with my hunting bow, it's a little different. And I just put it together today, so I'm not sure what kind of hole I'm going to get out of it. Shot it a little bit. It seems to be shooting really good. Having a good time with it. Excited to get it out in the woods. But with that being said, I'll be curious where it's at. With a follow-away rest like this, I really don't mind that it has a more of a perfect hole to start with. You know, see how the broadhead's flying in that way. But let's see what we got just putting it together. Not too bad. We're a little knock right, which I don't love, but we can fix really easy with this rest. I just need to get an Allen wrench, move the rest in just a little bit, which I don't mind at all. I really find that really easy. So let me grab a wrench. Let me see if I got one that'll get in there. Get that loose right there. And then we will take, and the cool part with this rest is, let's take the quiver off so we can get into the rest a little easier, which is super easy to do. Set that off on the side. And then we can get into our rest, which has micro adjust. We can just micro adjust it over to the right just a little bit. Shouldn't take much. Make sure and lock that down so that if we got it right, we don't have to adjust it again. Should have that pretty good locked down. Now let's take it and we'll shoot it through again. Now we've moved the rest. I'm going to shoot it through again to see what kind of change we got on it. And so we're a little bit better. We don't have as long of tear. We're getting really close to having that third vein start to show up. So I can move it in just a little more, which is great because it gives me a little more movement on my sight. So I'll take that wrench, we'll loosen it up. Got release in my pocket and too many things in there, I guess. So we'll take this, we'll loosen that back up again. I do love the micro adjust, saves you a lot of work. Tighten it down again. My luck sometimes is whether I move it too much or too little. That's my biggest part, is guessing how much I have to move it. So after that one, the fun of pulling the air out of the target. Well, all right. There goes your blooper reel. So now I've got it moved in a little more. Let's see what we get out of it. Okay, we've got about the same tear, so I might be making a little contact, but that's where we're at. I think I might, knowing me, I might leave it and just see how she shoots. I can, with some bows, and this bow especially, you can move shims over to get it to tune a little different. But I think I'm gonna shoot it right there and see how it is, because I'm not making any real contact on the blade, because I've looked and I can see that. And to me, like I said, it's a good hole, but it's not, I don't have to worry about it being perfect. Like, I can make it perfect with moving the bushings over and all that stuff and putting the rest where we want it, and I see how it is. But to me, I really want to make sure that we're in that realm of, if it could be shooting really well. Like, I've built bows in my past that it doesn't make sense, but they end up shooting really well. So I like to get a start. Like I said, paper tuning is not my end-all be-all. This is a good start. We'll work with this and see where it's at, and I'll give you a report back as to how it's shooting. Super excited to see what it does. Like I said, I just put it together today, so we could end up with something different. Who knows, when it's time, we want to put some arrows through it and see where it's at. But like I said, the 2 arrow holes for the 2 different bows are a little different. This one, I'm not so worried about the up and down because the rest is getting out of the way. The big thing is I'd like a little direction to help make it a little more repeatable and consistent. So, but it gets you started right. It gets you in an idea that, I mean, we're talking less than 1/4 of an inch of a tear. Arrow flight's not bad. We're doing it right out of the bow. Within seconds, that vein's got it cleaned up. So it'll be good to see how it shoots and where we're at. So, like I said, great starting point. Bear shaft tuning, some guys will get into. To me, what I have learned is I start here, and then I'll go out and play with my rest a little bit to see how it groups. To me, grouping is the most important part, because it shows that even with my bad shots or my good shots, where my arrows are gonna hit. To me, that is one of the most important parts of archery, to be able to have a bow that just is really forgiving. Because let's be honest, when we have that biggest buck or that big target to win the tournament, we're nervous. I don't care who you are. We revert back and we will do silly things at times. So the big thing is we want to be able to repeat it. And even if we do something silly, have our bow or our equipment help us out to get the job done of what we're trying to achieve. So like I said, paper tuning is a cool thing. I like to start with it, but it's not the end all be all. Thanks for listening. You know, I appreciate you guys' support, and I've got a great bunch of fans. Make sure and subscribe so we can do more of this and it helps support us and get us through this. But thank you, and as always, hope you have good success in your archery.